Peace be on you all. Welcome to the second part of the third session. The word deity is one of the words that its meaning cannot be fulfilled by any creations but the Creator alone. For example, even though the word Lord, Rab, also belongs to the Creator as the source of nursing, educating, and nourishing, it can also be used for some people when they take these attributions as their duty in society. However, the word deity belongs to the Creator alone. It cannot be used for any creation, as none of the creations can collect its attributions fully. Therefore, it is extremely important to know what these extraordinary attributions are that the word deity have above the whole creation, that lead human beings to identify and choose their authentic deity. At this point, there are two sides of the coin regarding the meaning of deity. One side has the general attributions that the authentic deity must have, and the other side has qualities that human beings look for identifying the authentic deity. The following are the general attributions that authentic deity must have. A. Must have the actual source, the holder of unlimited power, knowledge, ability, and authority for all pre-programmed visible and invisible creations. B. Must have authentic authority for permitting human beings to have freedom of choice in their own voluntary actions with full responsibility alongside the pre-programmed existence. C. Must be the authentic source of power, ability, and authority for providing human beings with power, ability, and facility to use pre-programmed visible systems during voluntary actions such as brains, eyes, ears, hearts, hands, feet, and many others. D. Must be the authentic source of power, ability, and authority for granting human beings with power and capacity to use and control pre-programmed invisible systems during the voluntary actions, such as emotions, thoughts, minds, will, power, and many others. E. Must be the authentic source of power, ability, and authority for allowing human beings to have certain level of authority, ability, and capacity for deciding to accept or reject any perceived inner and outsider information. And these are the attributions that human beings must look for when validating the chosen deity. 1. Deity is to whom a person offers gratitude first on any occasion of happiness and then thanks the reason next. 2. Deity is to whom a person seeks refuge in first on any occasion of sadness and then prevent the reason the next. 3. Deity is who has limitless knowledge and power above creations to meet every single need of every single creation in every single dimension without any restriction in space and time, past, present, and future. 4. Deity is who has limitless ability and facility to keep all doors open for hope, yet again without any restriction in space and time, past, present, future, and eternity. 5. Deity is when who says be whatever it is, it will be. Even if minds and hearts cannot be able to understand, science cannot explain. 6. The deity is who sees and hears every single creation, wherever it is, in light or in dark, near or far, small or big, and seen or unseen, but who cannot be seen with the worldly eyes ever. 7. Deity is who sets valid rules and regulations of life order for every creation from A to Z, including human nature, that coordinate and correlate genuinely between the Creator and creations, as well as creations to creation. So we can clearly see that the attributions 1 2, and 7 can be forwarded to other creations than the Creator, but 3, 4, 5, and 6 cannot. Therefore, there is no creation that can collect all these qualities in them altogether fully, but the Creator alone. Besides, sharing some of these qualities with any creations will destroy the existing unified harmony and peace between the creations that bases on freedom, equality, and justice. Freedom will be destroyed when deity or deities are chosen among creations as if they have right to have control over one another. Equality will be destroyed when deity or deities are chosen among creations as if they have higher qualities and positions over one another. Justice will be destroyed when deity or deities are chosen among creations as if they have the right power and capacity to rule over one another. Unauthenticated qualities that giving to some creations unjustly as if they have power over some other creations will trigger oppression between the equally valued creations. This is one of the main points that becomes the actual source for many psychological, biological, and social problems. Creations can only be taken as reasons for certain occasions and positions, but they can never be genuine source of power and knowledge to have total authority over one another. Therefore, it is necessary that basic human life orders need to be laid down by the authority above the creation, the Creator of all. This is the only method that achieves balance, harmony, and peace between the automated and voluntary actions to work together genuinely without destroying freedom, equality, and justice. Moreover, standing on this genuine, unbiased, and solid foundation, human beings can lay down required additional guidelines to meet the different local, cultural, geographical, educational, and economical needs by locally selected methods of agreements. After having a general idea about the authentication of deity, now we can look into the energy wave and boundary behaviors between the human beings and the Creator, as well as between creations to creations. This will demonstrate why creations cannot be authentic deity for other creations according to the energy wave and boundary behavior methods. As it's seen in the graph, there are 4 types of energy wave and boundary behaviors that take place in the entire existing energy network. However, before going into the types of energy wave and boundary behaviors, we have to look into human nervous system briefly to be able to understand these different boundary behaviors better regarding the voluntary and automated action interactions. Human body consists of 30 and 40 trillion cells, each with its own structure and function. 86 billion of them are neurons that coordinate all bodily functions using electrical and chemical signals. There are glue cells that 10 to 50 times more than the neurons that support the neural communications in the body, cleaning, repairing, nourishing, to regulate the energy flow in the whole nervous system. There are about 100 billion neurons of 10,000 different types in the brain alone. In fact, human nervous system uses brain to reason and heart to make decision to believe or reject things. Even though most of the human body work in automated system, voluntary actions can influence them up to certain level depending on their level of strength. Actually, there can be drastic effect on some uncontrolled cases. For example, when human beings physically see, hear, or touch something, positive or negative effect will reflect on the nervous system. However, even for the same occasion value of the voluntary actions that influence individual nervous system can differ according to every individual background knowledge. Yet, the system of transmitting energy with network of synapses work the same for all despite the value differences. This is the methodical key point for our subject. The chosen deity must offer a way of life that synchronizes the automated system with the voluntary actions to have genuine energy flow throughout the synapses, fulfilling the need of every individual human body, spirit, and soul. Therefore, genuine coordination between them is necessary to achieve valid energy frequency flow for the sake of health and happiness in individual, social, and universal issues, as well as keeping freedom, equality, and justice undamaged among beings and humanity. These four types of energy wave boundary and behaviors depend on the mass differences between the substances. Yet again, mass difference between the chosen deity and human being is another key point. Once the deity or deities are chosen, believing in him establish some kind of energy connection between the chosen and the chooser. This is the actual point that we are going to concentrate on. First, we can deal with the energy wave free and boundary behavior. This usually takes place when a person faces an unexpected sudden happiness, sadness, or fear unguarded. Depending on its strength, it can cause serious damage to body and mind, and at times it can even result with death. When an uncontrolled and unlimited energy input will release sudden immense energy output, then a massive number of neurons will be released into the synaptic cleft, which have limited receptors that cannot take them all in, and the leftover neurons go and hit the weakest part of the body, or just make a short circuit and terminate the whole system. Example incident takes place in the city of Adana in Turkey. A young Syrian refugee girl married to a young Turkish man did not see her brother for many years, who was left in Syria. Her brother managed to come to Turkey and wanted to surprise his sister. Seeing her brother in front of her unexpectedly gave her a heart attack, and she died there and then. But the structure did not handle the immensely doubled amount of energy wave of free and boundary system. As there is no border or boundary exists in the free and boundary behavior, therefore energy released from the human being, mind, and heart freely turns back, doubled in strength. In these sudden cases, damage is almost inevitable, but the level will depend on personal experience, how to forward the energy to the chosen deity. The second type of boundary behavior occurs when the chosen deity or deities has or have denser body structure than human beings. When energy wave and boundary behavior in transition from the less dense to denser being take place, some of the released energy level is transmitted to the denser medium in a positive wave value, but the most of it turns back to the human body, leaving an inverted reflected negative wave value. The value difference in between the positive transmitted poles and the negative inverted poles will be dependent on the dense differences in between the two masses. In this case, returning energy wave value to the human body more or less will always be negative. When the negative reflected poles meet with the incoming incident poles, the value of reflected poles will become even lesser in value, depending on the value that they both carry, but it will be always negative. This kind of boundary behavior can take some pressure away from human beings, but it can never harmonize, balance, or neutralize the energy flow in the nervous system. Since the genuine energy flow is not achieved at the synapses, some cells can die in time due to negative effect. This may cause various diseases such as cancer, Alzheimer, and loss of sensation in tissues. Experts can calculate all these differences between them, but it is enough for us to know that even denser being chosen as deity or deities cannot neutralize the released level of energy wave to have genuinely synchronized function between human body, soul, and spirit, the creator, and with the other creations. The third type of boundary behavior occurs when the chosen deity or deities has or have less dense body structure than human beings. When the energy wave and boundary behavior in transition from the denser to less dense being take place, most of the released energy value is transmitted to the less dense medium in a positive wave value, and some of it turns back to the human body having some lesser but in positive reflected wave value. The value difference in between the positive transmitted pulse and the positive reflected pulse will depend on the dense differences in between the two masses. In this case, returning energy wave value to human body will always be positive. When the positive reflected pulse meet with the incoming incident positive pulse value, the value of reflected pulse will become higher, depending on the value that they both carry. Yet again, the value difference in between the positive transmitted pulse and the positive reflected pulse will depend on the dense differences between the two masses. The differences between the two masses can be calculated by the expert, but we now know that even the less denser beings chosen as deity or deities cannot neutralize the released level of the energy wave value to have genuine synchronization between the human body, soul, and spirit, the creator, and the other creations. This kind of boundary and behavior can also take some pressure away from the human beings, but it can never harmonize, balance, or neutralize the energy flow in the nervous system fully. Since the genuine energy flow is not achieved at the synapses, some cells will overwork due to positive reflected values, and in time they will be exhausted. This may also cause various anxiety diseases such as heart diseases, Parkinson, and many types of psychological anxiety disorders, including loss of sense control. The fourth type of boundary and behavior occurs when the beginning and the end of every kind of energy waves are fixed in the chosen state. None of the energy waves can go through and beyond the creator. Thus, the energy wave fixed and boundary behavior takes place when a person chooses the creator of all as the only deity, where the beginning of every wave and the end meet. In this boundary behavior, it does not matter if the incoming incident pulse is negative or positive. The values are high or low. When the incoming incident pulse hits the fixed end boundary, if it is positive incident pulse, same value will turn to be the negative inverted pulse. And if the incident pulse is negative, the same value will turn to be the positive inverted pulse. Positive and negative same valued waves can neutralize each other to zero, instantly becoming reflected neutralized energy flow resting on the equilibrium, that there is no time and space exists. That means, according to the energy wave fixed and boundary behavior, there will be no time and space involved between the chooser and the chosen deity, the creator, manager, and nourisher of all. The better the balanced connection achieved by human beings with the fixed and boundary behavior, the better the energy neutralization level will become. As soon as the authentic deity is chosen, human beings will automatically begin to synchronize oneself with every automated being as well as the Creator. However, this will only depend on the purity and unity in energy wave that's sent by human beings to the deity with fixed and boundary behavior. An energy leak, intentional or unintentional, diverted to different destination, will influence the genuine synchronization of the connection, even if the fixed and boundary behavior apply. Choosing authentic deity is the master key for preventing psychological, biological, social, and universal chaos and injustice among humanity. Since no created being will be under the pressure of another created being, as they will be all standing in the same platform under the umbrella of freedom, equality, and justice. In this case, every single human being will be doing what his or her position requires, knowing that all have the same managing deity, working for the same world, working towards the same goal to have healthy and happy life in this world, and with the same will to have eternal, never-ending happiness all together. So, I wish you all the best and hope to see you soon in the next and the last video of this series.